pineapple. Looking very good, very nice.
Barrel. The name alone, it's sacred. It's America. It's rocking chairs, biscuits the size of your fist, and a store full of things nobody asked for, but you buy anyway. And now they've gone and changed the logo. Here's the truth. Nobody asked for a new logo. What we wanted was unlimited biscuits. What we wanted was a third peg in that triangle game so we could finally win. But no. Instead of giving the people what they want, they gave us a logo that looks like it was designed by sleepy Joe Biden. At what point do we as a country put a stop to this tyrannical destruction of our rich culture and history?
Good morning, pineapples. Looking very good and very nice. Welcome back to Wake Up America. I'm your host, Austin Petersen. They call me AP for Liberty. It's the only morning show where the coffee is always hot. The takes are hotter, and unlike Cracker Barrel's new logo, we haven't gone woke or broke. We're still here, baby, 3 years later. Coming up on our 3-year anniversary here on the Wake Up America show, we're now a full-blown network, baby. What Petersen promises, Petersen does. Drinking some delicious Founding Flavors coffee this morning, one of the keys to our success. Speaking of coffee, brand new study out of Germany and the UK says what you already know. The first cup of coffee in the morning makes you happier, more alert, and more enthusiastic for the next 2.5 hours. Hangover glasses? Oh, please. Looking beautiful, baby. Ready for Monday morning? Another taxation is theft day on the Wake Up America show. Science finally caught up to what every American already understood. The coffee. Don't talk to me until I've had my coffee. 2.5 hours. Makes you feel good. Even the bees drink caffeinated nectar. So, folks, if you're sipping your Founding Flavors this morning, congratulations. You're not addicted. You're scientifically enthusiastic. Not beating those hangover rumors. Let's talk about today's lineup. It is a big one. First, we're going to hit the Cracker Barrel fiasco. The beloved highway stop of biscuits and gravy fame lost nearly $100 million in value after they ditched Uncle Herschel, the cracker, from their logo. And now we're finding out one of the board members is a DEI consultant with a Disney past. Go woke, go broke. No longer a slogan, question mark. Maybe an investment strategy. Sell, 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 sell. Jim Cramer says, buy, buy, buy. We sell, sell, sell.
Here at Cracker Barrel, we value diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's why we are going one step further to ruin our brand. We are investing millions of dollars into replacing all of brown pegs in the peg game to bright, colorful pegs. Also, we're changing the rules. The white pegs are not allowed to move or jump anymore, leaving the colored pegs to do whatever they want. We call it Down with the Cracker. It's about being fair in an unfair world. Are you down with the cracker?
Now, just be honest and tell me, have you seen that clip yet? You know, you saw it here first on the Wake Up America show before they play it on all the other shows. You're in the right place. You're ahead of the curve. When you're watching the Wake Up America show and you're hanging out with us on Rumble, I don't care if it's 7:08 Central Time. Quest Fanning's up. Frickety, he's on the East Coast. That's cheating. Drew Van Runkle is here with us, and Dred Seamus, Jimmy Joe Patty, and all the other people. We even get people who listen to us from the West Coast. God bless them. What about Rock Cuts? First time here, Rock Cuts. Nice to see you. They're going to slam that coffee, friend. C.O. Day, Amy J. Ease. Exactly. It's nice and early here in where? Oh, let's take a look. Maybe I have a little weather bug for this. Jefferson City, Missouri. It's 54 degrees. Wow. It's finally starting to cool off. Have we finally gotten out of the 90s? It's nice to see. This has been a hot summer. All the grass is brown over. All the leaves are gray and the grass is brown. And the grass is brown. What are we talking about today on the Wake Up America show? I don't know. What's Fox News talking about? USA News, Fox News ticker says President Trump eyes another Democrat-led city for federal crime crackdown. What do you guys think about that? You can send us a text at 573-319-1586. Oh, there's the talking points for today. Bing, 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 bing. Wake Up America news topics today. Cracker Barrel, $100 million gone with the woke wind. I will thank you if you have not had a chance to see it to check out the thumbnail for today's show. It's me making out with Steffi, a la Gone with the Wind, as the CEO of Cracker Barrel burns down the Cracker Barrel and wears the Union soldiers uniform as I look like Rhett Butler and kissing my smoking hot redheaded libertarian sweet wife, Stephanie. I told it specifically make me look like Rhett Butler, turn my mustache into the Rhett Butler. Pretty hot. Speaking of, she's right there, that sweet little sweetheart, Steffi. Everybody say hi, Steffi. Good morning, good morning. At 7:30 this morning, I'm really excited to share with you one of my good friends for years, and works at the Cato Institute. Daniel Mitchell is going to talk to us about Donald Trump's weird nationalist socialist move. The federal government buying a 10% stake in Intel. I don't want any of that company. I wouldn't invest in it myself. Why is the government doing it? Bernie Sanders wanted it. Trump delivered it. And both sides are wrong. Dan's going to explain why Hayek was right all along about central planning being doomed. Doomed. History. As long as we're doomed in repeating it, we'll talk about it on the show. At 8 o'clock, Jon Miltimore is with us on the job market. Unemployment looks low, but hiring has slowed to a crawl. Economists are calling this labor hoarding, where companies are hanging on to workers but not bringing new ones in. That's great if you're employed, not so great if you're young or if you're poor and trying to break into the job market. John's going to break down why even a small spike in layoffs could tip us into a downturn. At 8:30 this morning, we're going to talk to... no, we're not. We're not going to talk to Skot Sheller. Wah, 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 wah. Skot Sheller, unfortunately, is ill this morning. Hopefully, we'll have him back on to respond to some of the stranger criticisms of Libertarian President of Argentina, Javier Milei. A lot of exciting things happening down there south of the border. I like to keep you up on it because it is the greatest example of where you can actually see non-socialism, the opposite of socialism. As the United States and every other country in the world heads towards socialism, Argentina is heading the opposite direction. God bless them. Thank you. Thank you for setting an example. Unfortunately, I love America, and America's a great nation to live in, but it's a damn shame for all of the socialists. Like Zoran Mandani. Did anybody see Zoran Mandani trying to lift that weight in New York City?
This is how you move up in the polls. Yeah.
Okay, here he is. Look at that
Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. Let me get one more. Let me get three.
One. Oh, yikes. Hold on, wait a minute. Pull it back up. That's the face of a man who can't lift 135 pounds. This guy right here is clowning on him. Yeah, New York City, they don't care if you're a lefty Democrat like them. They're going to rip on you if you can't bench press 135 pounds. How about instead of Mamdani, we call him Mama Scrawny? Well, guess what? To respond, because we believe in fair and open debate on this show, I actually sent out a message after I saw that the incoming mayor yesterday was struggling with that. He was getting beaten up in the press. Well, no wonder he's getting beat up. He can't lift 135 pounds. But I reached out to their office, sent them a message, said, hey, listen, we'd love to have you join us on the Wake Up America show today. But here's the thing, guys. It's very expensive to rent those cameras in New York City, but we will have a live camera if we unlock the bonus content. And we will have an interview with Zoran Mama Scrawny this morning. If we unlock the bonus content, do you know how it works? What's bonus content, Austin? Well, if we raise enough money on the show today, either in Rumble rants that are made during the live show or in purchases made at the Grift Shop during the live show, if it adds up to our bonus content levels, you get unlocks at certain levels. At $75, you unlock our mini documentary. At $100, you unlock an interview with Zoran Mama Scrawny today. So would you like to see Mama Scrawny? Well, production ain't cheap. So in order for me to get a cameraman in New York City this morning, I got to pay him. It's union. There's all kinds of, hassle that we have to do. So it's $100 to unlock the live interview, by the way, with Zoran responding to all of the accusations about his manhood. And that's the $100 bonus content. Does anybody want to have Mama Scrawny on the show today? The political ads just make themselves. Yes, exactly. So there you go. Get the Rumble rant started, even if it's just $1, and we will be well on our way to that interview. Speaking of weak men, performative men. This is a meme from TikTok that has made its way into real life. There was a contest where people won actual trophies for the performative male contest out in California. Now, what is a performative male? A performative male is a male who performs. He is acting in a certain way in order to get female attention. And they're getting called out by all these lefty blogs, and they even had a contest in California where men had to humiliate themselves in front of women, and the man who humiliated himself the most, wearing shirts that say male feminist, reading books. Some of them were reading books upside down. These are all ways for them to try and show that they are in solidarity with women. I'm one of you. They're calling them performative males. And a lot of these lefty females are saying this is how you avoid a performative male. Avoid a performative male. So the performative men, we were supposed to, that segment is going to be the last segment of the show. We were supposed to have Skot Sheller from New Hampshire. He's like the unofficial ambassador to Argentina from the Free State Project there in New Hampshire. Unfortunately, he's not feeling so hot today. So at 8:30 a.m. Central Time on the show today, our final segment will be about the performative male, because I got backups on backups, baby. We don't love them, hoes. All right, ladies and gents, buckle up, because today's saga comes from a place you never thought would betray you, the Cracker Barrel. You know, the country store out with the rocking chairs out front. It's kind of like a retirement home. Hash brown casserole that could raise the dead. It's where you stop on the highway with your family because you know you're going to get pancakes bigger than your face and a waitress named Marge who's been there since the days of Richard Nixon. But Cracker Barrel's decided that what America really needed wasn't more biscuits and gravy, but a brand new woke logo. They yanked old Uncle Herschel off the sign, the old farmer in overalls we recognize, and replaced him with a minimalist corporate blob that looks like it belongs on a government grant application.
Cracker Barrel's new logo and $700 million brand overhaul sparking some backlash from customers and critics who say the company is abandoning its country roots. You see the old logo on the left there with the older gentleman, the Cracker Barrel kind of leaning back into things. The new logo, yeah, to put it politely, looks pretty bland. The stock did fall about 10% yesterday. Joining us right now with more on what's turning into a major branding blunder is Americus Reed, Wharton School Professor of Marketing. Americus, let's walk through this and talk this through. I am not a huge fan of the new logo. I think it's boring. Don't know what I think about the stores as much. The white doesn't bother me quite as much. But it does look like they mishandled this pretty badly, and it got picked up by social media, and uh-oh, now what?
Yeah, I love that point. I mean, social media is outraged about this. I mean, you can take a look at the new logo and you can determine quickly that it's an attempt to simplify, which is a trend that's going on right now. In other words, minimalization of what you're doing and a modernization to make things a little bit less cluttered. Now, of course, let me just give you quickly sort of rebrand or logo change 101 marketing.
Wharton School Professor of Marketing here.
you definitely want to tweak a little bit. That's point number one. Point number two is you want to make sure that along with the change, you have the story ready. In other words, you have the narrative prepared to tell consumers why you're doing this and what's behind the change. And so if you don't do that, then you can see what we're seeing now, which is a lot of people filling the silence with respect to their negative reactions to the logo. And then point number three is to make sure, and I'm not sure if they did this or not, but you make sure you do a little tiny test of things with your most loyal customers, and you just get a pressure test to see how they react. Because if it's this kind of vehement sort of vitriol anger, you could probably pick that up in a smaller test, and you can figure it out way before this spirals out of.
Wow, that was no wonder he's a professor at Wharton of marketing. I want to hire him. Oofda. Glad to see you guys all here. Don't forget to click that like button. And if today is your first time watching the Wake Up America show, if you're enjoying the content so far, you're going to absolutely love us. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time is the show's schedule. So either memorize it or just don't memorize it. Click the follow button and you won't have to memorize it. It'll send a notification to your phone whenever we go live. If you're a techie type and you're like, Austin, I know how all this stuff works, I could do it. Well, then you probably would enjoy our Discord. We're having an absolute blast hanging out with the crew when we're not live. So look for the link to the Discord channel and join us there when we're not live. The Wake Up America show, it's getting fewer and fewer times when we're not live because the For Liberty Network is growing so crazy. So join us again over in our Discord and be a regular guest of our streams. Join our community. It's a lot of fun. It's a healthy community, a positive community, and there are very few of those online. So if you're saying to yourself you're tired of the toxicity of social media and you're sick and tired of the lamestream media, then the Wake Up America show and our associated shows like Liberty Tonight and Culturama and the Freedom Arcade are good, healthy, positive communities. And we even get kids who come and hang out with us, even though we're more middle-aged types. Amy J. Ease, Dad Bod Baboon, Drew Van Runkle, they all know what I'm talking about, as well as Frickety, In Jam, and Quest Fanning. We're fun, we're adults, but we like to party. You know what I'm saying? Like, we like to have fun. Robbie Starbuck had a 15-minute video that he put out talking about this fiasco. I won't be able to play it all, but we can play some of it.
You've probably heard by now about Cracker Barrel changing their logo from old American nostalgia to cold, dead, lifeless, and modern. In a comedic way, as one friend said to me, they removed the cracker and the barrel, so what's left now? And the answer's nothingness. The same nothingness that the left wants you to stomach in every other facet of your life.
Everything is always so deep. Like, I'm definitely going there, but it's just so dramatic. It's like, it's the Cracker Barrel logo, is the sign of the devil. It's just funny. The music, it's very dramatic.
And if you think this is just a logo change, you're wrong.
Robbie Starbuck.
Robbie Starbuck.
Robbie Starbuck.
Robbie Starbuck.
Robbie Starbuck.
Robbie, I'm a big fan of what you do and your wife.
Corporate America listens to this guy. I'm a little scared of him, too.
This is the Robbie Starbuck Show. We investigated Cracker Barrel, and what I'm about to show you is a company infested with left-wing activists who are more interested in safe spaces, pronouns, and virtue signaling than they are in their customers. I think the best way to start is by telling you what you've been funding if you've gone to Cracker Barrel in recent years. So let's start with Nashville Pride. Yes, Cracker Barrel is a proud sponsor of Nashville Pride and have been part of it for over a decade, along with participating for multiple years in Evansville, Indiana's Third River City Pride event. They even made LGBTQ+ rocking chairs for these Pride events. The same Pride rocking chair.
Remember that? The gay chairs? Drew Runkle is saying he would know what I was talking about if I turned my mic up. It sounds so loud in my ears. Is it not loud to you guys? Just let me know in the chat. You can send us text too. That's always helpful. 573-319-1586. I like to check the text messages, especially over the weekend. People like to talk to us. 573-319-1586. Brad Beckman says, you're pretty quiet compared to the clips. Well, I tell you what I can do. I'm trying, because you have to be careful to not blow out the gain on these suckers. So I'm going to audio, and I'm going to put a filter on it, and I'm going to turn on the gain on that filter, and then I'm going to go bump, 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 bump. How's that? And then we turn it up a little bit until we're popping up into the red. Is everybody happy now? Is that better? Can you hear me? It sounds exact same to me. I am quiet, but everything else is fine. Well, I just cranked up the gain on this sucker, so let me know if it sounds better. Yay or nay? Much better? Okay. Welcome to the Wake Up America show, guys. And don't forget, if you like the Wake Up America show, to support it by clicking like and helping to unlock the bonus content. We do have Zoran Mamaskrani joining us live this morning, if we can afford the camera for the live shot to New York City. So hit us up on ARG. Has anyone actually talked about how their food is mediocre at best, says Amy J. Yeah, good point. Maybe it wasn't the woke rebranding. Maybe we were all starting to dislike Cracker Barrel in general. They were having to file for bankruptcy after all.
Put front and center in their Tennessee corporate office and at their 2019 managers conference for the Cracker Barrel managers. That Tennessee corporate office I mentioned is located in a place called Wilson County, one of the most conservative counties that you will find in America. The fact that it's located there is important to this story because what's happened here is a microcosm of the parasitic operating procedure of left-wing activists. Like a parasite, they embed and spread. They don't just want to force their soulless, godless, hedonistic vision of the future onto blue hellscapes that their party controls. No, it's much more important to them that they shove it down into your towns, into your kids' schools, and into your way of life. So sticking a pro-trans rocking chair into their headquarters in a predominantly conservative town is exactly the type of thing they revel in doing. And for a food service company, you might be thinking their focus should be good food and good service, but their own website says, quote, "This year, Cracker Barrel's focus was to be a part of the Pride experience." And they're very proud of their pro-trans rocking chairs, let me tell you. They call it, quote, "bringing the front porch to Pride." And if you think that's out of alignment with their customers, well, you're right, but it doesn't end there. The Cracker Barrel website says that they believe that diversity and pride are pillars that should guide decision-making year-round.
It's DEI, right? They done got gated up. They got gay. Boy, there's one thing I want to be thinking about when I'm eating biscuits and gravy. It's penis. Penis. You know, that little thing. So this wasn't just a cultural mistake. This was a financial one as well, guys. Their stock lost nearly $100 million in market value in one day when they revealed this. So think about that. We're not talking about the price of eggs going up. We're talking about wiping out the entire lifetime breakfast budget of the state of Tennessee overnight. Investors had Cracker Barrel on what's called the battleground stock list, meaning half of Wall Street was bullish, half was shorting it. The scales could tip either way. It's kind of 50-50. All it needed was a spark. And what spark did the geniuses at corporate headquarters choose to light the fire? A woke rebrand. Go woke, go broke. But now it's not just a punchline for we conservatives and libertarians. Wall Street analysts are literally modeling woke risk in the same way that they model interest rates, inflation, or supply chain stocks. And while Cracker Barrel was taking a $100 million biscuit bath, what happened over at American Eagle? They went the opposite direction. They slapped Sydney Sweeney in some jeans and said, here's an all-American girl, and boom, their stock went up 20% in 1 month. You tell me which strategy makes more sense, Uncle Herschel or Sydney Sweeney. So here's the moral of the story. If you want your investors to stick with you, don't spit on the very customers who buy your cornbread, 1. 2, of course, corporate America never learns. So this is why we have to remind them loudly, mockingly, and with plenty of gravy, go woke, go broke. All right, first guest coming up from the Cato Institute. Him and I, we've been on television together a bunch of times. Dan Mitchell, known him for years, good friend of mine, writes an excellent blog talking about the 10% takeover, government stake in Intel. It's not socialism when we do it. We'll be right back. It's the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back, with sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can.
Welcome back to the Wake Up America show. Sorry to interrupt our pal Ronald Reagan there. That is a nice commercial. If you're not subscribed to the Wake Up America show, you are committing a grievous error, a sin against liberty itself. Not a crime, though. It doesn't violate the NAP. But it'd be great if you click the follow button. I'm Austin Petersen. They call me AP, sometimes AP for Liberty, which is basically my username on every single platform. So if you're like, man, I could really use more AP, 2 hours a day in the mornings is just not enough, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitters, TikToks, whatever it may be, AP for Liberty. All right, let's talk about chips, and not the type you get at the poker table or the ones you dip in queso. I mean computer chips. And specifically, we're going to talk about the brand new announcement that the federal government under Donald Trump has acquired a 10% ownership stake in Intel. Now, yeah, I know. Where's my Norm Macdonald here?
But it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
It does. Or maybe you could say nationalism, socialism, mercantilism. I'm hearing all kinds of names for this kind of stuff. Let's just call it stupid. Dan Mitchell joins us live right now. He's an expert from the Cato Institute, an economist, going to talk to us about this. Good morning. How you doing, Dan?
Good morning, Austin. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks so much for getting up early and talking to me about this. 10% in Intel. If 10% is good, Dan, why not 100%? Wouldn't we all be better off if the government just took over Intel and ran it entirely? Or am I being hyperbolic?
Well, take over the entire country. That's the glories of central planning. The Soviet Union showed how well government ownership of the means of production turns out. So yeah, we're venturing into uncharted territory, at least in terms of the United States. Other nations have shown that what happens with this approach, but for America to do it is really, really weird.
But Harry S. Truman and U.S. Steel, come on, Dan. I'm told reliably by many conservatives, good, strong, stout, church-going conservatives, that we have done this before. If there's a precedent for it, it's not communism. Maybe they're right. Maybe it's just fascism.
Well, technically, fascism is private ownership, but government control. Socialism is government ownership. So we're getting at least 10% socialism with this. And unfortunately, since that will make the U.S. government a very prominent shareholder, I suspect we'll get a little bit of fascism as well, because there's no way Intel is going to make major decisions without Uncle Sam looking over its shoulder and saying, no, we don't want you to close a plant or things like that. So I very much do worry about where this is taking us.
And let's not pretend like 10% isn't very much. 10% is a very strong interest in a company. I know that if you had somebody owning 10% of my company, you have to listen to what they say. But here's what I'm kind of laughing at. Somebody made the joke. Shadow Collector in the chat says, Intel, what a bad investment. They should have gone for NVIDIA. Yeah, how come we're buying the failing businesses? Why can't taxpayers own businesses that actually do well?
Well, let's be happy that whether we're looking at NVIDIA or AMD or the big Taiwan company, let's be happy that the federal government is limiting its intervention and interference to a failing company, because Intel used to be a very successful company. They made bad decisions. The market punished them. They're now shrinking. Unfortunately, Joe Biden passed this semiconductor subsidy bill, the so-called CHIPS Act. I think that was back in 2022, but somewhere during the dark days of the Biden administration. And we started ladling out money, or we didn't. Politicians on our supposed behalf started doing it. And that gave Uncle Sam leverage over Intel. And now poor Intel is going to go downhill even faster, because having Washington as a major shareholder is a recipe for bad economic decisions.
I'm not trying to make anybody ill this morning, Dan, but every time I see Bernie Sanders praising what the Trump administration is doing, it makes me want to puke. It's kind of sick. I want to throw up my Cheerios, my cornflakes. But some people say, well, a broken clock is just right twice a day. So is Bernie Sanders right that we should be doing this? How does that make you feel, Dan?
Bernie Sanders is right that Donald Trump has a policy that he supports. Unfortunately, it is a socialist, interventionist, big government policy, cronyism, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. This is government interfering with the free market. As I already said, it's going to drive Intel downhill even faster. And there's actually a very serious economic point. I don't want to bore your viewers and listeners, Austin, but a lot of research has been done over the decades about the problem with zombie firms, when governments try to prop up companies that should be weeded out because they're just not an efficient allocation and use of capital. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Japan had lost decades. The government was trying to prop up zombie firms, and now we're doing the same thing. And I worry not so much about this one case as much as I worry that we now have Democrats and Republicans thinking that it's their job to play sort of mini central planners. And there's just, the economic evidence is so overwhelming that this is a bad choice, a bad road to travel down.
Yeah, Dan, you'd never have to worry about nerding out on economics on this show, this audience, because these are like, these people, it's cool, it's kosher here. So why don't we even get even deeper into the weeds and get all philosophical? Talk to us about Hayek's knowledge problem, why it makes this plan unworkable no matter who is in charge.
Hayek made the observation that in a modern complex economy, nobody, not even a supercomputer, not even artificial intelligence, of course, we didn't have that back when Hayek was writing this, but it would be impossible to try to plan an economy and have politicians and bureaucrats decide, capital should be allocated over here. The workforce should be doing this instead of that. And for Donald Trump and the rest of the politicians in Washington, for them to be deciding that, this is how the semiconductor industry should look, it's not going to reflect the wishes of actual consumers. And if we want the United States to be a competitive leader in this technology, I mean, the last thing we should do is have a bunch of politicians in effect, looking over the shoulders of companies. And with Intel, they're not just going to be looking over the shoulder, they're going to be in the boardroom. There is no way Intel can make major decisions now without calculating, well, will this please our political masters in Washington? And again, that's just a recipe for bad things happening. Now,
I would say it's going to, well, Dan, I wanted to say that I think I would say that it's almost like turning the economy into casinos, but at least with a casino, you sometimes win. I looked yesterday. I did my research. I said, what is an example of a government-run business that has actually been successful? And one of the things that I found, that one of the best case examples that came up was the post office. And so I was a little flummoxed, but I wanted to switch subjects because we don't have a whole lot of time here, and segue to, the United States seems to be moving in a direction that Argentina is now moving away from. It's really irks me as an American, a patriotic American, to have to look south of the border to try and find an example of the ideas that America pioneered. But Peronism, Don't Cry for Me, Argentina, of Evita fame, if anyone has seen the musical, we're talking about a weird fascistic nationalism that Argentina is now crawling out from the depths of, thanks to Javier Milei, and we're now adopting the policies of Juan Perón. Talk to us about that, Dan.
Yeah, for those who don't happen to know, Juan Perón was the leader of Argentina starting after World War II, and he's the one who really accelerated Argentina's downhill slide because he was doing protectionism, he was doing industrial policy, he was having the government take over industries, he was creating these sort of worker industry councils where the government was going to sit down and plan the economy. And Argentina was the worst performing economy in the world for a long time. It got so bad, deficits, hyperinflation, excessive spending, bad taxes, you name it, Argentina was doing it. It got so bad, their economy was in such a dump that they elected a crazy libertarian. It could be you or me, Austin, is now the president of a country and is trying to save Argentina. And as you said, it's incredible that we're watching the United States now adopt the Peronist policies that drove Argentina into an economic ditch. It's incredibly frustrating that we're not learning from economic history.
No, we aren't. And it is another piece of economic history was people don't know is that Harry Truman's takeover of U.S. Steel was actually invalidated by the Supreme Court. It was declared unconstitutional. I'm wondering, what constitutional precedents we see for something like the president just wants to take a stake in Intel, he can do it. I would think something like that would require congressional approval. Now, the laws in Argentina are quite different. Javier Milei has much wider authority and power, and he's trying to make use of it and then advance his Libertad Avanza party in the elections that are coming up. He faces headwinds. There's a lot of things standing in his way, but there aren't any major leaders in Argentina right now that are strong leaders in opposition to Milei. He may actually get more power coming up later this year to enact his agenda and push it across the line. Dan Mitchell, since you and I were hanging out, and you were in the game even longer than I was, since you and I were hanging out at the Battle of First Manassas, what's the party that the Leadership Institute throws there 4th of July every year? 20 years ago? Since you and I were hanging out there, we have been asked by our conservative friends, when has libertarianism ever been tried? Right, from the Bush years, the George W. Bush years, through the Obama years, to Biden and Trump. When has real libertarianism ever been tried? Are they trying it in Argentina? Are we finally seeing the case study of all the theories that people like yourself write about and I try and popularize through memes?
Well, I would first say to those people that you and I have been talking to, the United States has been a classical liberal libertarian experiment. Our founding fathers gave us two great documents, the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution, and that helped make us the most successful country on earth. Now, for the last 90 plus years, we've been drifting in the wrong direction, and I do worry that it might be accelerating this century because we've had really nothing but statist presidents. But getting back to Argentina, those midterm elections coming up in October are going to be critical because Milei, he's been very effective at using the executive authority of the president to advance reforms. He did get legislation through his Congress last year that gave him some emergency powers to liberalize. But all sorts of major things like tax reform, labor law reform. These things cannot happen unless he gets operational control of the Peronist-controlled legislature. So those October elections, as far as I'm concerned, are the world's most important elections for 2025. And I'll be paying close attention. I just got back from Argentina, actually, about 5 days ago, and I'm going back down again in November. It is the epicenter of the world battle for freedom right now.
Oh, God, I'm so jealous. I got to get down there, Dan. Statist presidents, we've had nothing but statist presidents. We had a little short reprieve under the Ronald Reagan years, but then you have to go all the way back to Calvin Coolidge or my newest children's book, Grover Cleveland, and Grover the Note President. And I'll be happy to send you a copy, Dan, if you... I know all your kids are grown up, but mine are just starting, and we're trying to share the ideas of Grover Cleveland with all of our friends. I've got my copy of the Constitution from the Cato Institute. Dan, is there anything else that you think that our listeners need to know, or anything that you want to share, or maybe even plug if you've got your own book or something you want to share with our audience, maybe a blog?
Well, of course, I always welcome people to read my daily column, which is the website is called International Liberty. The URL is danieljmitchell.wordpress.com. But just go to any search engine, type in Dan Mitchell blog. It'll be the first thing that comes up. I've written a lot about what's happening in Argentina. As I said, it is probably the most important economic story of the last couple of years. And as we've already talked about, Austin, it's so frustrating that we are seeing in Washington people make the same mistakes that Perón made that put Argentina in the toilet in the first place. So Argentina is trying to free itself, and we're trying to shackle ourselves in the same way that drove Argentina downhill for several decades under Peronism.
Fewer Zoran Mamdanis, more Vivek Ramaswamis, and Javier Milei's. Hey, Dan, I always love your work, man. I've got great respect for you. I hope that our listeners take you seriously and go and follow your blog. And find out more about what you're doing out there. You've always been an advocate for freedom, even when it's not popular, which is the sign of a true patriot. You have a wonderful day.
You too, Austin. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
All right, guys, we are at the Cracker Barrel. This is still an unedited location. This is the classic Cracker Barrel Hard R. And I'm here with the number one. And I have a grandma.
What is a Cracker Barrel Hard R? What is that? Classic Cracker Barrel Hard R. Oh my God, I'm going insane. Welcome to the Wake Up America show, guys. Yes, we need an AP Argentina visit and documentary. That's a great idea. Do you know how to make things like that happen? Fund the mini documentaries and the medium documentaries so we can make the big documentaries. As a matter of fact, now is a perfect time for me to remind you that we are at $2 raised towards the $75 and $100 bonus content goal. Do you guys want Zoran Mamdani on the show? He will be with us live if we can raise $100 to pay the cameraman in New York City. So keep those Rumble rants coming. Once we hit the $75 level, we unlock the first phase of the bonus content, which is the mini documentary. When we hit $100 raised by the end of the show, and we are not close, when we hit $100 raised by the end of the show, then you guys will be able to see Zoran Mamdani responding to the accusations that he's a girly boy after he was unable to lift 135 pounds at a outdoor lifting event yesterday.
You move up in the polls, yeah.
I don't think this is how you move up in the polls. Watch this guy. It's the bar and like 235s or something.
Let's go. Yeah.
Okay, that spotter's doing a lot of work. They can't even look at him. Couldn't even do one. Come on, guys. Good morning, pineapples. Looking very good, very nice. So, guys, would you like to see Zoran Mama Scrawny on the show this morning? For Zoran Mama Dainty, says Frickety. Thanks, Frickety. That's $12 raised towards the $75 and $100 bonus content goal. It's easy, guys. All you got to do is visit the For Liberty shop. Grab yourself a box of coffee. Sooner or later, 2 or 3 people buying boxes of coffee. That's all you need. You'll hit that $100 level and you'll unlock the bonus content. Midwest Gunner says Curtis Sliwa could lift that with one hand. Hell yeah. He's a maniac on the floor. Cracker Barrel Hard R. Y'all ever be eating a Cracker Barrel and you look at the pictures on the wall? It's a little racist.
When I go to Cracker Barrel, I go get my damn fried apples and whatever entree I'm going to get, and then I eat it and leave. I'm also not looking for racism at every turn. I can't imagine just going somewhere to eat, looking up at the wall, and just, racism. Bro, give me a break.
This picture looks straight out of a horror movie, like it come to life and she haunts you. Then you got Becky and Bertha staring at me. What the hell is y'all looking at? Looking like
Okay, it does look like a ghost that would haunt you, though. She's right about that.
mass segregation over. There's definitely some people's racist ancestors they don't put up on a wall. They just got them on the wall hovering over me as I eat. Oh, and Andrew definitely said the N-word with the hard R.
People who own Cracker Barrel put the pictures up of the family that owns it. If you go to a black restaurant, there's black people all over the walls. There's African stuff all over the walls. Not a single white person going in there, well, this looks racist to me. Where's the white people? There was no point for her to make that video other than just clicks and views. Here's a tip for you next time you go to Cracker Barrel, okay? Don't worry about the pictures on the wall. Just eat your damn food.
Hell yes. That's great. Zoran is basically a real-world Disney princess, says Shadow Collector. My God, I just love you guys. Best job in the world, man. Best damn job in the world. I'm Austin Petersen. This is the Wake Up America show. We are streaming live from where? Jefferson City, Missouri, in the Midwest, the heart of the country, the heart of the United States. 54 degrees. Feels like 53. Wow. Light wind. We've got a lot of exciting topics today. We've been talking about Cracker Barrel, $100 million gone with the woke wind. Trump's Intel stake we just did with Dan Mitchell. Coming up at 8 a.m. Central Time, a very fragile job market and labor hoarding risks. At the end of the show today, we'll talk about performative males and a little bit of breakfast theater. If we raise $100 today, we will unlock the bonus content, and Zoran Mamaskrani will be joining us live on the show today. People like Joel Lettimore are making it happen. He just gifted a sub to somebody in the chat, which means we've now raised $17 towards the $75 and $100 goals. Keep it coming, guys. You're doing great. $17 raised towards the $75 and $100 goal means that when we hit that $75 goal, you will unlock the bonus content. The bonus content is good. The bonus content is life. It keeps the Wake Up America show streaming and the For Liberty Network growing. Why do I keep hitting the wrong button, for goodness sakes? Sorry, guys.
Cracker Barrel is now under fire. They changed their logo. Their logo used to be, I thought, rather charming. It's kind of a middle-aged farmer, white guy, sitting on a chair, leaning against a barrel, old country store. And it was kind of charming. And now their new logo is basically just, they kept the same letters for Cracker Barrel, the same font and everything, but they just got rid of the dude leaning on the barrel and the chair and the old country store. And they just made it into like a yellow block that kind of looks like you're driving into a Carl's Jr. or something. It's a bad move. It's a very bad move. It is getting rid of historic IP in favor of something absolutely and ridiculously generic. Cracker Barrel is now under fire. They changed their...
Agree with Ben Shapiro. Zoran Mamaskrani. How are the regular people, though? How are the people who love the hard R feeling about it?
Takes away from our heritage. When you're 81 years old, you kind of remember the way the place started, and this is taken away from it. It's the old things that the country was founded on: the honesty, the truthfulness, your word meaning something. Seems to be forgotten.
Not a big fan.
No, I think they should stick with tradition and the country marketing of going to
This
get
looks
chicken
like a
and
hard
dumplings
R family to me. Hard R.
and biscuits, and to me that is Cracker
Hard R. Republican.
Barrel, old country style.
Yes, I think the original should stick and stay because that's what people came for, was the original, and that kind of genre of it, like
genre. That is such a hard R. She said genre. I didn't imagine that, did I? Hold on.
The original and that kind of genre of it, like it's
Now I listen. If she had said genre, I could give her that, but genre, that's a hard R. Genre, hard R on that one.
awesome. They need to stay with the original.
Just like American Eagle, I went into American Eagle last week, me and my son, and bought clothes and jeans and everything else. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, for different companies, when they decide to do their own marketing, it could backfire, just like this is happening. And I'm sure a lot more people will not go to Cracker Barrel if they make this decision.
Yeah, I think Cracker Barrel.
Captain Tight Pants over in the chat says, I don't go to Cracker Barrel because I live in Missouri and I can get Southern food that's actually good. Yeah, well, I got some bad news for you. Apparently, the woke rebrand is spreading out, not just Cracker Barrel, but Lambert's. Yes, that famous Lambert's in Sikeston and other places in Missouri and some places in Alabama. It will no longer be the home of throwed rolls. The news is now that it will now be a Lambert's Cafe, but no throwed rolls. Somebody was sued apparently, so they can no longer do that. So no more throwed rolls, and they have a new updated logo design, and it has just a rainbow flag on it. So no more throwed rolls. No more guy throwing rolls on it. It just says Lambert's Cafe. It's very modern.
And a Bud Light themselves.
There you go.
It's different, but I get it, trying to modernize to the new 2025 world. But it does do away with some of the old schoolness that everybody was used to going to.
That is not a hard R Republican there. That's a small R Republican. That's a guy who votes country over party. You can tell by the way he uses words. The other people, they were hard R Republicans. This guy's small R Republican.
And I want to find old school candy. And
he's probably voted for libertarian once or twice.
Different items while traveling, and it just seemed to have that old type of
conservatarian
atmosphere.
I like the logo. It is
woke, but hard R. Gloria.
what it is: hometown cooking, hometown environment, country living, country food. It's not my country food, but it's close. They're shooting a dead horse. I mean, I think that...
Are they shooting a dead horse, or are they beating the dead horse? Good old lady.
Why are they reinventing the wheel?
I think it's different, than it has been for sure. I think the old logo is kind of what I grew up with. I remember going on road trips and just stopping at that. And I actually went here a lot as a kid. I haven't been here recently, but...
I haven't been here recently, neither has anybody else, and I don't think if anybody else can. Missouri ain't Southern food, but it's close. I'll be deep in the cold, cold ground before I recognize Missouri. Well, thank you, Grandpa Simpson. Just kidding about the throne rolls, T-Mill. I made that Lambert story up. Sorry to freak you out. The very lovely Joni Weinbaum this morning, she wants to see Zoran Momskrani on the show. She just went to the Liberty Shop at forlibertyshop.com. She bought herself a box of Jeffersonian Java. Thank you, Joni. Everybody say thank you, Joni. We're so grateful for people like her and others who go to forlibertyshop.com, buy our Founding Flavors coffee. They know it's delicious. And if you go to forlibertyshop.com and make a purchase during the live show, that goes to help unlock the bonus content. We're well on our way now, thanks to that. 17 plus 24, something like that. I'll do the math on the break. I'm going to break now because Jon Miltimore is coming up. Jon Miltimore is coming up. Talk about the labor market. Then we're going to talk about performative males. It's the Wake Up America show. Don't go away. Unlock the bonus content. Do a little shopping at the Grift Shop. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back, with sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama!
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian, and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
When the Founding Fathers dreamed of liberty, they forgot one thing: coffee. Introducing Founding Flavors Coffee, the brew that built America, and the brew that's fueling a new revolution, one kitchen at a time. Small batch roasted, Patriot approved, and disappearing faster than a redcoat at Yorktown. Don't get left behind, soldier. Real patriots are starting their mornings with Founding Flavors, and trust us, freedom tastes better with a fresh cup in your hand. Stop drinking those tyrant brews who take your money and don't support your values. Stocks are limited, demand is booming, and your morning deserves a taste of liberty. Order now at forlibertyshop.com before the next shipment gets signed, sealed, and sold out. Founding Flavors Coffee, the official brew of morning rebellions everywhere. Get yours at forlibertyshop.com. This summer isn't about sunscreen and safe spaces. It's about liberty, laughs, and looking like a red, white, and righteous badass. Welcome to the Summer of Freedom collection. Beach towels bold enough to trigger a liberal arts professor. Tank tops louder than a 4th of July fireworks finale. And mugs that scream, "Don't tread on my caffeine." Whether you're storming the sandbar or just grilling like George Washington with a Bluetooth speaker, this is the gear that lets everyone know. You're not here to play woke. You're here to play cornhole with conviction. So crack open a cold one, fire up the freedom, and rock the merch that makes communists cry. The Summer of Freedom is here. And it's absolutely unapologetic.
Here at Alligator Alcatraz, the fence keeps them in. But slip up, and you're on my...
Caught two. The third? Huh. The swamp's got its own way of catching runaways.
Mama was wrong. Gators don't need toothbrushes. Just an honest job making America great again.
Good morning, pineapples. Looking very good and very nice. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Petersen. Thank you guys so much for unlocking phase 1 of the bonus content today. Awesome. We blew past phase 1. You're going to get to see the mini documentary right after Jon Miltimore. And then looks like Frickety actually just immediately right there just did it. Money for the Argentinian getaway. You guys want to go to Argentina? Okay. All right. I'll do it. I'll go to Argentina. Keep dropping those $10 bills on me like that. Heck yeah. Well, that basically unlocked the full bonus content, which means that we can now afford the camera to send to New York City. We will have Zoran Mamdani on the Wake Up America show today live. After the bonus content, after Jon Miltimore, I'm going to call my cameraman in New York City. We're sending it to his office. So he's wanting to respond to the scandal about not being able to lift 135 pounds. He will be with us on the show today because you guys just paid for the camera. So thank you, everybody. The Wake Up America show is going strong. The For Liberty Network's growing. We're hiring staff like crazy over here. We're trying to meet all the growth, and it's because of the financial contributions from people like Frickety, Andy Opperman, and so many others this morning. Y2 Joe, thank you guys for unlocking that bonus content. Well, my economy is doing okay, but how is the rest of the economy? If you're Intel and your company is fading, you know what would be great is if the Wake Up America show and the For Liberty Network, if I could just get the government to take a nice little 10% stake. I would love that. You know why? Because then whenever it's my competitors or me, the government's going to choose me. Why did the government bail out Goldman but not Bear Stearns? That's a question for Pat Buchanan. Or maybe my next guest, Jon Miltimore, joining us live. He's not a Jew, but he can talk about money. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning, AP.
How's that for an introduction?
I'm not Jewish as far as I know. You never know, right?
Yeah, no, I just remember I was just referencing the column that Pat Buchanan wrote years ago. Why did the government bail out Goldman Sachs but not Lehman Brothers during the 2008 financial crisis? And here for the perfect segue setup is me to say, a lot of people are talking about the Intel chips purchase 10%, and they're reminding us government did something similar during the 2008 bailouts with GM, and we actually made money. So, John, doesn't that mean because there's a precedent for it that it's not communism?
I tell you, ask people 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and nobody's going to want to have this Intel deal on their hands. This is going to be a disaster. Like how it's going to be. I won't predict how it's going to go down, but the truth is, though, this has just as much to do with Biden as Trump. Like this is something I was writing about the Intel deal before it was cool. Like Intel had been lobbying for billions of dollars for several years after the CHIPS Act was passed. The CHIPS Act allocated hundreds of billions of dollars, and I say allocated. It said we're going to spend this money, so you had everybody trying to get a piece of it. And Intel for 2-3 years was begging, becoming very frustrated that they weren't getting money. 1 year went by, 2 years went by, 3 years went by. They finally got, after Trump was elected, in principle, an $8 billion direct subsidy and a few $1 billion more in other subsidies. So that money was allocated. And I think the Trump people said, well, why should we just give it to them? Let's get a stake in the company. And for people like Howard Lutnick and Trump, this sounded great because it's going to allow them in the boardroom to some extent at Intel. But no, this is anybody who believes in a free economy should be horrified by this. It's a deal that Intel, I think, is getting they're getting much more here than they bargained for. I don't think they're looking to get the federal government in their boardroom. How it plays out, maybe they'll get some political favors out of it, but ultimately, I did go check. Like Intel got a soft bounce from this news, but if you look at their price earnings ratio, it's a disaster. I don't think having Washington, in there with you is going to turn things around.
I'll ask you the same question I asked Dan Mitchell. Why do we always have to, the taxpayers, why do we have to buy the failing companies? How come we can't take some NVIDIA? Why can't we get a company that actually make us some money?
Yeah, no, it's a pretty easy question. NVIDIA would never want this deal, right? Like they're smart enough to say, no, it's the desperate companies that are, it's really a type of bailout. And good, thriving companies don't need bailouts. Companies like Intel that have been mismanaged for years, for decades, they do. It's going to create some good headlines. And, for Trump, like this is sort of his MO. If you listen to him, he did an interview with Time Magazine just recently. He looks at the U.S. economy as a big candy store, and he's the person that owns the candy store and can set the prices he wants and let people in who he wants. This is the worst, of Trump that we feared. A lot of people held their nose and voted for the guy because they didn't like what the left was offering up, and there's plenty there to dislike. But this is the danger when you have, what you can call it socialism, you can call it fascism, when you have state ownership of corporations or stakes in corporations. That's what it is. This is alarming. I have, I messaged several of my Trump, sympathetic friends, said, like, do you guys support this? Nobody said anything, like nobody responded.
Well, they're all terrified because it's become a system of patronage, and everybody knows that, especially in this scenario, that you're, rather than producing superior products or by producing superior messages, that this is an economy where the way to get ahead is to have political stakes, is to have a stake in politics. That's how you succeed in business in the United States, not through doing something useful like creating a microchip that people want to buy instead of NVIDIA's. Am I right?
It's old school cronyism or patronage, or whatever you want to call it. Like this is why people in DC love the ability to dole out this money. It gives them the power. It gives them the influence. It's Trump loves, you have CEOs of companies that are valued in hundreds of billions or trillions. They have to come and kiss the ring. They have to come, asking for favors and permission. And it's working. It's not just about Intel. If you look, NVIDIA now, they had to agree to, the government's taking a certain cut on them for chips sold overseas to some countries. All of this, is stuff that they have to go kiss the ring, and it makes Trump look very powerful, and he is powerful. But for people who believe in limited government and free markets, this you don't want a powerful central government. Or somebody who's kind of acting like the no kings thing. I laughed at it, but there is an element to that, right? There's some truth to this where Trump wants these CEOs to treat him like a king. This is, if you believe in small R republicanism, this is a very sad development.
All right, so let's shift gears to something else, because we've scared off now all the people for whom they cannot allow any criticism of dear leader, but. On paper, unemployment looks low in the economy. Employers aren't firing much. Under the hood, it's kind of not so rosy, John. Hiring has slowed to a crawl. Job seekers are struggling. Younger and poorer workers especially are getting stuck on the sidelines. Economists are calling this phenomenon the United States is undergoing labor hoarding. Companies are hanging on to workers, but they're not bringing new ones in. So the job market is in this precarious balance. Can you explain this to us, John?
Yeah, I think it's, if you look, the hires rate is at a 10-year low. And that means new hires account for a very small percentage of the overall labor force. I think what you see is people are responding to the uncertainty in the economy. Like we're not quite sure where things are going. Part of this is simply, there's two parts to tariffs. One is the uncertainty that they create. Like people don't want to start hiring more people when suddenly they could be paying 75% more if they import copper or aluminum to make their stuff. But then there's also the fact that now these companies have less capital to go spend to hire workers. I think that that's probably part of this, right? Like if companies are losing some of their profits because of these tariffs, like they're not going to be able to spend as much on hiring new workers. It's not a catastrophic thing yet. I think a lot of people are just wait and see. We're not sure. We hear a lot of recession talk. There's some indicators we could be heading there. To me, I mean, if we both read that Wall Street Journal article, I think what's going to happen here is we're going to see the Federal Reserve cut interest rates. That's my prediction. I think this gives Powell the excuse to do what Trump wants, which Trump's been asking for lower interest rates for quite a while. My concern is we're going to be lowering interest rates when inflation's still not tamed. And if you look, we're still, the Fed has its 2% target that we hear about all the time. The Fed's not to that target, but they're going to cut rates in my prediction anyway, which could see inflation. But between the tariffs and another rate cut, we could see more inflation. And this is what Republicans were given kind of the golden ticket. They got to run against inflation that we saw during 2022, 2023, 2024, which historically high inflation. If we see inflation start to kick up again, for Republicans heading into midterms, that's going to be the last thing they want.
It's Jon Miltimore joining us live. We call it Mondays with Miltimore, talking about the state of the economy. Jon and I talk about a wide variety of topics, always on Monday, always at 8 a.m. Central, whenever he doesn't have a family affair or whether I just, hopefully don't forget. But it's a regular segment. And if you enjoy Jon, then make sure you put it on your calendar to always join the Wake Up America show at 8 a.m. Central Time for Jon Miltimore. Mondays with Miltimore, we talk about the economy typically. He works at the American Institute for Economic Research. We go way back. He's worked at the Foundation for Economic Education, and I consider him sort of a voice of reason that I like to bounce my more insane ideas off of. But finally, Jon, I feel represented by someone who is probably even more insane than I am. Afuera, south of the border. There's so much criticism of Javier Milei from so many circles, and yet I look at him as if a deity. He can do no wrong. I have JMDS, Javier Milei, Down syndrome. I don't know. Not derangement, but down.
What's not to like?
I'm down with the syndrome. It's exciting to watch. I mean, he's actually doing what we say we want to have happen to a large extent. And for some people, it's just not enough, Jon. There's a perpetual loserdom amongst people who share our ideals, it feels like, in the United States. Maybe it's because if people like Hans Hermann Hoppe, who's been criticizing Javier Milei, if they had to, they're very successful playing loser roles. Right? It's like if you're in a movie, there was some kid in the 90s to 2000s. He was this really skinny, kid. He was in like all of the teen movies, and he was like, had this like bulbous nose. I can't remember his name. Some of us will remember. They're like American Pilot style sex comedies. But he made a great career out of being the loser. And that's kind of how I feel about some of these people who criticize Javier Milei, is that they do a really good job being professional losers, and everybody thinks they're awesome, and they write books, and people will read, they're a god, they're an economist. But then when Javier Milei comes along and wins, and he's also an economist, and he's calls himself an anarcho-capitalist, no, we're really critical of him because he didn't abolish the central bank on day one. Jon, have I summarized all this? Pick any topic that I just lobbed out there, and feel free to shoot it down, blow it up, whatever you like.
No, I hear you. And let's first go back to that guy you're trying to remember. I think he's the guy from I had it and I lost it. The one with the road trip, right? He's the guy from road trip. Yeah.
I think so.
When you said the bulbous nose, that's what got it for me. But yes, there is something like they want to be the whipping boy. To me, I'm with you. I love to see what Milei is doing. And it's not just in Argentina. There's a whole movement in Latin America right now that's really impressive. If you look what just happened to Bolivia, the socialists in Bolivia got their butts kicked. After 20 years in power, like they're out. Like there's a runoff that's going to be coming up. But that is, I think it's the Milei effect, right? Like this is his ideas that are spreading through Latin America. The tragic part is, I've said for a long time, we need a Milei, but instead we're getting a Perón or if you want to be others, you might say one of the Roosevelts, like some sort of big government Republican. Obviously FDR wasn't a Republican, but somebody who really believes that government can fix these problems and should fix these problems. Milei has it right. Milei is taking the chainsaw to government. He's not trying to use the One Ring to build up his own power or to build up his own country. We need somebody to take the chainsaw. And Trump, too, I'll defend Trump. In some ways, he's doing that, right? He is taking a chainsaw in some ways to the bureaucracy, but with his other hand, he's building it up. Tariffs, taking stakes in company. These are very dangerous things, and I'd like to see some consistency out of Trump instead of this big government reflex that we've been seeing, it seems, month after month.
I know, he's right there. The model is right there. He's showing us the way. But you know, a lot of people, if it's not in the United States, they don't care. But it's a shame to just see that we can't. You know, it's kind of like, oh man, can I have McDonald's? And it's like, no, we have McDonald's at home. It's like, this is McDonald's at home. Damn it! It's kind of like the Cracker Barrel. Javier Milei is like the old Cracker Barrel logo. Said we get the woke rebrand. John, do you have an opinion?
Was it woke? You know, I've been seeing. I haven't looked at this story closely, and people I like. You know, some people I like are saying it's woke. Others saying like,
It's
what do you mean?
Absolutely woke. And you say you haven't looked at it closely.
It was
John.
an ugly brand. You know, like that. The new logo is very ugly, and it's very simple. Like this is something my child could design.
John, are you going to try and sit here and tell me that you don't think that communists and socialists and leftists and subversives and progressives don't try and dehumanize and take away the symbols of the culture of the United States? Are you going to try and tell me this American flag, John, is the flag that I was holding at the Smithsonian Museum that, thank God, Trump is going to try and clean up from its wokeness. They told me to furl this, to put it away, because this might be considered offensive to people at the American History Museum in Washington, D.C. Are you going to look me in the face right here, right now, through this camera and tell me that you don't think that communists and subversive and progressive, with their brutalist architecture and their disgusting postmodern art, that there isn't an element of wokeness to designs like this that aren't meant to dehumanize and to make us feel, what's the word when the opposite of chutzpah, right? To take away your moxie, to take away, what's the word I'm looking for here, John?
No, I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that there is some sort of war over our symbols. We had friends in town the weekend, and they brought this up. Like they brought up, and these aren't political people; they're just regular people. But they said there's like this effort to demasculate, to emasculate in our society, and I just kind of nodded because I've been in tune with this for a long time. I do think that effort is out there. I just look at Cracker Barrel, and I'm not convinced yet that is part of it, that effort. Maybe it is. Again, there's too many stories out there to watch. I thought the Cracker Barrel rebrand got kind of an inordinate amount of attention.
You have to check out their board of directors. You have to see, like, one of the guys who was responsible for the rebrand was responsible for some of the wokeification of Disney. He's previously from Disney. Robbie Starbuck did like a 15-minute breakdown of all of it. It's really good stuff. And if you change your mind on it after watching that, I hope you will write an article about it, because I would really be interested to hear your take over on The Take, because that is the name of your Substack. Jon Miltimore, he's not on The Take. He gives you his take, and that's why it's called The Take. His Substack, Jon Miltimore, who joins us every Monday at 8 a.m. Central. Mondays with Miltimore. Mojo, they're stealing our mojo, says Shadow Collector. Yes.
After that kind of plug, I don't even need to plug The Take on Substack, but I will plug The Daily Economy. If you haven't been to thedailyeconomy.org, go check it out. It's our publication at AIER. We're publishing there every day some good content, including a great new piece on this Intel takeover.
Absolutely, John. We are absolutely going to watch that. I'm excited. I got so much more show to go out to pack in. I got to run, John. Is there anything else that you want to share before we let you go? Any
clever... I got both my plugs in. I'm all set, man.
Okay, no clever quips or words of wisdom from you then left. Thank you for all you do for freedom. We appreciate you, John. You have a wonderful day.
Hey, good being with you, AP. Have a good one.
Thank you very, very much. Good morning, pineapples. Let me tell you, Austin Petersen, we're glad and thankful to have you here. You have unlocked the bonus content, which means you get to watch it right meow. And then when we get back from break, performative males. They had a contest for performative males out there. These are men, we call them sneaky effers. The men who try and get close to women by pretending to be feminists. They had a whole contest for it. Somebody won an award. We'll talk about that when we get back. Then Zoran Ramaswamy Mama Donnie, Zoran Madani on our show today. Thanks to all of you guys. We'll be right back.
You can't break the laws of economics. Supply and demand invariably overcome any effort to defy or outsmart them. Nearly every week, someone writing for a major news outlet argues that economics has failed. Our models are too abstract. Our predictions are always wrong. President Trump's recent firing of Bureau of Labor Statistics Commissioner Erica McIntarfer is the latest notable example of this anti-economic sentiment. Let me make what appears to have become a radical argument. Simple economics is surprisingly good at making real-world predictions. When Mr. Trump imposed steel and aluminum tariffs in 2018, the University of Chicago surveyed dozens of top economists. These weren't partisan hacks. They included Nobel laureates and advisors to both parties. Not one of them thought that Americans would be better off because of the tariffs. 7 years later, what have we learned? Study after study, using customs data, retail prices, and scanner data from stores, has found that American businesses and consumers bore virtually 100% of the tariff burden. The economists were right. As consumers, Americans weren't better off. Americans were also hurt as workers. Economists have discovered that about half of U.S. imports are used as inputs in the production of other goods. Aluminum goes into beer cans. If the price of aluminum rises, beer companies will buy fewer cans. Fewer cans mean fewer workers. Researchers found that because of the 2018 tariffs, downstream American industries, the companies that use aluminum to make everything from beer cans to car parts, lost jobs, swamping any gains to aluminum producers. Tariffs intended to protect American workers destroyed more jobs than they created. Empirical studies confirm a basic idea from economics. If you tax something, the price rises and people use less of it. We don't need fancy statistics to see the predictive power of simple supply and demand. Take the recent controversy over egg prices. After egg prices roughly doubled at the start of this year, Senator Elizabeth Warren, D. Mass., urged the Justice Department to investigate price gouging. Alvaro Bedoya of the Federal Trade Commission called for a probe into anti-competitive conduct in the egg industry. Their theory most rise significantly. That's a textbook case of supply and demand. The power of economics comes from using supply and demand to predict what happens next. We know that a high price for eggs is an incentive to do with egg prices falling in recent months. No model captures everything. Sometimes, supply and demand aren't the only factors at play. When Russia invaded Ukraine, a simple supply and demand model wasn't enough to predict what would happen. But even with something as uncertain as war, the basics went a long way. To predict what would happen, economist Rudiger Bachmann and colleagues constructed a model to map how gas flowed through Europe's economy. The model was intricate, but its foundations came straight from Economics 101's traffic and improves commute speeds, as economics predicts. Rather than abandoning economics because it's politically inconvenient, we should celebrate its remarkable ability to explain how the world works. There's always more to learn, but the basics aren't broken, they're underappreciated.
The fence keeps them in.
It's about
but
liberty,
up,
laughs,
and you're
looking like
on
a
my
red,
plate.
bright, and righteous badass. Welcome to the Summer of Freedom Collection.
Looks like breakfast is making a run for it.
Beach
We got 3
towels
hot
bold
meals
enough to
trying to
trigger
check
a-
out.
From Cotality revealed a third of Australian households is made up of just 2 people, while the most common property is 3 bedrooms. It's suggested that a levy, along with the removal of stamp duty, may encourage shrinking families and empty nesters to downsize, freeing up supply.
That's Australia right there for you. Did you get it? Did you get that? Rather than allow people to build new homes, they're going to start, if you have an open bedroom in your house, you'll be taxed 10%. It's only 10%, right? As long as there's a precedent for it, it's not communism, right? You're just taking a 10%. The government's just taking a 10% stake in people's homes. Just let people build houses. Problem with the housing crisis? Just let people build homes. God, they'll do anything but let people build homes. Good morning, pineapples. Of love that you guys have been huge fans of our bonus content program. Hogan, his daughter Brooke Hogan on the show. And we've had Defense Against the Dark Arts classes taught for our $100 bonus content level. And today we're actually going to have a live hit with Zoran Mamdani on the show, thanks to the financial support from people like you. It's all the money that you're saving from not having to pay for NPR or for PBS that you can now take and invest in media that you do like, the Wake Up America show. Thanks, guys. But before we get there, it's time to peel back another layer of the onion of degeneracy, as they say, as the National Socialists say. That is modern culture. Have you guys heard about this new trend? It's called the performative male. You'll see this a lot if you watch any TikTok or any reels on Instagram, sometimes YouTube shorts. A performative male. What is a performative male? It's real. The left is now roasting its own weak men. And the reason we're going to hear from Zoran Mamdani, Mama Scrawny, is because of, speaking of weak men.
This is how you move up in the polls. Yeah, one more. Let me get one.
One more. How about one?
Let me get three.
No, I don't think so. He got off that real quick. It's a man who can't lift 135 pounds. That's a man. He would not qualify to be a firefighter in New York City. Do you think that he should be the mayor of New York if he can't even lift people? I'm sorry, but isn't that important for the mayor to be able to lift people? Man card revoked, says Y2J. Agreed. But he will be on the show today. He will be on the show today, guys, so do not miss it. We've got 25 more minutes left to go, and Zoran's going to join us here in about 10 to 15 minutes. So we will have a live camera in New York City, and he's going to be responding to the allegations of him being a weakling. The San Francisco Chronicle ran a glowing article about a performative male contest that happened in a park. They had dudes strutting around with tote bags, pearl necklaces, copies of bell hooks under one arm, matcha lattes in the other, and they're pretending to be feminist allies so they can get laid. Yeah, the left is now talking about this. We have been talking about this on this show for years. If any of you are familiar with cuttlefish mimics being female. This happens in human nature. I swear I've shown this. I need to sign on my other account so I don't have to worry about ads anymore on this. But cuttlefish, this happens in nature. This isn't just a phenomenon in humans. We're going to talk about this because I love evolutionary psychology, and you see this in nature with cuttlefish. No thanks. Here we go. This is a 5-minute long documentary, so I'll have to kind of speak.
Thousand males competing for the arriving females.
All right, so the males and females sexual. But I need to touch your women because I feel a little anxiety. Matcha and listen to Mitski, right? And now women are catching on that these guys are liars because here's the dirty secret. The worst creeps in the Me Too scandals, they were the ones who were the self-proclaimed feminists. Harvey Weinstein gave money to feminist causes. Aziz Ansari wrote about being woke and then got roasted for his weird behavior. Countless other examples of this, right? These guys use woke politics like a camouflage, right? We used to mock the gym bros. Now we've got tote bros, and they're worse because at least the gym bro actually lifts something heavier than a latte. Yes. Let me ask you, ladies, questions for the ladies. Here we go. Roll your eyes preemptively, Amy J.E.'s. Joni Rankin. Would you rather a man who can change a tire or a man who can recommend his favorite Taylor Swift vinyl? Question number one. Number two, would you rather a man who can defend your home or one who can explain intersectionality while getting mugged? Like that one guy in Brooklyn, remember? He got stabbed by the homeless person on the street, and his woke girlfriend just watched, later fundraised on it, took days off work, did a whole GoFundMe to raise all this money to didn't give it to like charity. I think some of it was given to like some communist collective, probably the Democratic Socialist Alliance or something. And of course she's alive and moved on, and he's dead in the ground somewhere. Would you rather a man, ladies, would you rather a man who can actually provide for a family, or one who shows up in a crop top talking about how he feels oppressed? He too feels oppressed by the patriarchy. Men are the biggest victims. We know the answer. You don't have to answer. Amy, T-Mill, Steffi for Liberty, St. Selma. We probably have a higher percentage of females in our community relative to other Liberty communities. Women don't want soft, sneaky liars. They want real men. Now, let's break it down to brass tacks, because Stephanie is always talking about my body. Point one, the soy boy hustle. The guys that can't win by strength, charm, or success, they put on a costume. It's like drag, but for straight men. Instead of RuPaul's Drag Race, it's Rachel Maddow's book club. Oh my God. And Zoran Mandani coming up on the show too. He's going to answer to the allegations of him being Zoran Mumskrani. Point two on this one, the fake ally program. That's what they're calling them. Performative males, the fake allies. Have you ever noticed that the loudest male feminists are often the ones outed as predators? Because it was never about values. It was about access. They're going to chant "believe all women" right up until the woman says, "He hurt me." Then it's different. Point three on this one, the death of authentic masculinity. Our society used to reward competence, courage, and responsibility. Now we reward pearl necklaces and not those kind, and tote bags. The men who built this country laid railroad tracks against the Rockies. Today's men lay down picnic blankets in San Francisco parks and read all about love. Watch rom-coms. Point four, feminism eats their own. This is the kicker. The left built this world. They built these men. They tore down masculinity. They mocked fathers. They sneered at tradition. They destroyed Cracker Barrel. And now they're shocked that the dating pool is full of weak liars with iced matchas. You broke it. You bought it. We don't need performative men. We need real men, men who protect their families, who tell the truth, who work hard, who don't need costumes or slogans to get women's attention, but they might need a Snapchat filter for the show, for their stream. Competence and character are attractive all by themselves. Back in the days, guys lied about owning a yacht. Now they lie about loving HBO shows for the win. No news for the win. Giggity, says Frickety. Amy J.E. says, of course, can't stand Taylor Swift. I want a man who listens to rock and metal. Hell yes. What about 80s rock? Nothing's gonna ever keep you down.
Why are you gay?
Performative males don't buy drinks at the bar. They buy matcha lattes. Would you like oat milk with that feminism? They're not alpha. They're beta. They're basically the Microsoft Clippy of dating. It looks like you're trying to ovulate. Would you like me to recommend a feminist podcast? You love this show. You love this show. Sneaky effers used to hide in the bushes in the savannah. Now they hide behind toe bags in Brooklyn. And ladies, if a guy whips out a bell hooks book on the first date, just remember that's not literature. That is a mating call. Okay. That's it. All right, I'm getting word. I got the message, guys. Zoran Mamdani will be here live on the show to respond to the accusations that he's a weakling, nothing more than a performative male himself. Zoran Mamdani over the weekend appearing at an all-male event, a lifting event, took on the bar to do a lift, 135 pounds. Here we are, Zoran Mamdani. All right, let's watch his lift here. 135 pounds. Let's watch him perform. Oh, wait. Can he perform or?
Let's go.
Oh, wait a minute. Looks like somebody else is lifting that bar there. Hold on, let's not. Can't even get one. Hold on, look at there. Oh, yeah. Maybe better luck next time, Tiger. This morning, we're going to New York City, where socialist frontrunner Zoran Mandani is holding a press conference to respond to the viral humiliation of the year. He failed a 135-pound bench press at a Men's Day event. He went off to show his strength, and he needed a socialist bailout from his spotter just to get the bar off of his chest. Eric Adams roasted him. Andrew Cuomo piled on. Deborah Messing from Will and Grace called him a terrorist. And even Riley Gaines, I'm kidding you, this is all real. And even Riley Gaines dunked on him by posting her own lifting video. So without further ado, let's head live to New York City. Please, somebody hand the man a juice box. Don't go away. We're going to get the camera set up. Zoran Mandani coming up to you live when we get back from the break. Don't go away. It's the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. We got Zoran Mandani exclusive here on this show coming up next. Do not leave.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Hello, my fellow New Yorkers. Hello, I am Zoran Mandani. I want to address the crushing lies told about me, and also the crushing barbell that nearly turned my ribcage into halal shawarma. First, I did not fail to bench press 135 pounds. What you witnessed was socialist fitness, redistribution of strength. One bar, many hands. I was demonstrating equity. I provide the diversity hire. My spotter provides the actual muscles. Mayor Eric Adams bragged that at 64, he could bench the same weight. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor. You can outlift a middle schooler. He calls me weak. At least I didn't get spotted by the NYPD's corruption task force. Then, Cuomo chimed in. Oh. Cuomo. So funny, Cuomo. Sir, the heaviest thing you've lifted in the past decade is a nipple ring off of a staffer. Don't come at me about strength when your legacy is a trail of lawsuits and dead senior citizens. They call me Mama Scrawny. That's fine. I prefer Mamdani. Weak in body, strong in whining. And then Riley Gaines, yes, the blonde Valkyrie of women's sports. She posted a video of herself repping more than me. Great job, Riley. You can outlift me. You also look better in yoga pants. But here's the thing. I may not lift weight, but I will lift your taxes sky high. That's real resistance training. No. Deborah Messing, the queen of sitcoms, she says, I celebrated 9/11. Ma'am, I couldn't even celebrate 2 reps on the bench. If I celebrated 9/11, trust me, it would have been with free falafel and a buy one, get one prayer rug, not collapsing under a barbell. She didn't give me grace, she gave me grievance. Will and grace. More like kill and disgrace. You starred in a show about tolerance. And now you're Instagramming like a cranky ant who just discovered QAnon. And now the press is attacking me for my newest idea, Easy Pass for criminals. Yes, why should murderers get all the attention? It's time shoplifters also get frequent flyer miles. Steal a candy bar, beep, enjoy your freedom. Punch a stranger, beep, community service points. Drunk driving, beep, hey, who among us hasn't driven home after 3 hummus plates? So, Conservatives are whining that this will make crime explode. Good. Explosions create jobs. You think I can't lift weights? Fine. But I can lift the burden of prosecution from 8 million New Yorkers. That's liberation, comrades. They say the job of mayor carries a heavy weight. Yes, which is why I am outsourcing the lifting to literally anyone else. Mayor Adams has dumbbells. Cuomo has interns. Riley Gaines has actual muscles. I have excuses. Together, we will build a city where weakness is strength, crime is progress, and the only thing illegal is calling me Mom Scrawny. So go ahead, laugh at me. But remember, I may not have pecs, but I have policies. And if you think that makes me unfit for mayor, well, I already proved I'm unfit at the gym. Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting
Ladies
back.
and gentlemen, Zoran Mamdani, first candidate in history who thinks socialism applies to barbells, even if his excuses needed a spotter. This is why New York is screwed if they elect that clown. Weak body, weaker mind, dangerous politics, but hey, at least he gave us the best comedy set of the year. All right, guys, that is it. Damn, that show flew by. The fun has just begun for many of you heading off to the workday. My workday part 2 begins. I hope that you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for all your support, especially the financial support, guys. It matters a lot. We are trying to grow in a recession, and we're growing thanks to people like yourself who step in, kick in, visit the Grift Shop. As you do on your way out, you exit through the Grift Shop, and you also drop those Rumble rants. Thanks for everything that you do. See what we're doing to earn it for you. Are you not entertained? Well, at least click the like button before you leave if you haven't already, and the follow button as well. If today is your first time watching the Wake Up America show and you're like, these guys are weird, but they're my kind of weird, hell yeah. Click the follow button before you leave and come back and join us for our regular schedule from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a 2-hour live stream in the mornings. Great way to start your day. You're going to get some laughs. You're going to have some fun. And you're going to stay informed. And we fight for liberty no matter who's in charge. That's what we do. We stay in the fight for economic freedom and personal liberty. Exit through the Grift Shop. We'll see you guys right back again here tomorrow, where Glenn Jacobs, a.k.a. Kane, a.k.a. please hopefully run for president of the United States, will be here with us live tomorrow morning. No, the real Glenn Jacobs, not me pretending to be Glenn Jacobs, actual Glenn Jacobs, mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, will be joining us tomorrow morning on this show. And Camellia Petersen. It's going to be a stinking amazing show. How could you even think about missing it? I'll see you guys. We're going to gossip about it in the chat over on the Discord. I'll see you there after you get done doing some shopping. Head on over to the Liberty Shop. Get yourself the Javier Milei Afuera denim jacket. Listen, frickety, you can't just sit around and tease us like this. We got to see what you look like. Can you look hotter than this chick wearing the Javier Milei denim jacket? It comes in 2 colors, black and brown. It has Javier Milei with the lion logo embroidered on the front. And on the back, it shows the famous Afuera. We'll see you guys right back again here tomorrow on the Wake Up America shows for Liberty Network. Oh, wait. Gosh, darn it. I almost forgot. I'm so glad I didn't. Wah, wah. Turn off the tape. Turn off the tape. Guys, I'm going to be on a panel, and I want everybody to know about it and to sign up so that you can watch me live doing a panel. If you guys are excited about what Javier Milei is doing in Argentina, you absolutely cannot miss this year's Expat Money Online Summit. It's online, so you can watch it from wherever you are. The Expat Money Online Summit is a world-renowned expat consultant and host of the Expat Money Show, Mikkel Thorup. He's a big fan of what Javier Milei is doing in Argentina. So for those who are looking at making a jump or interested in such strategies or tactics, what you might need to do to get like Mitt Romney, get that money overseas, then do yourself a favor and sign up now. And I will be on a panel at the Expat Money Summit. The first layer of the Expat Money Summit is free, but if you want to have a VIP panel experience, then that costs money, but I can get you a discount if you use my name, Austin. 20% gets you the 20% discount. expatmoneysummit.com. EXPAT moneysummit.com. Go to expatmoneysummit.com. And if you want to see me on the VIP panel, guys, then use my name, Austin, 20%. It's also how they track, how they know if you listen to the Wake Up America show. So let's show them. And we'll see you guys again here tomorrow on the Wake Up America shows for Liberty Network. Bye, guys.
Demand invariably overcome any effort to defy or outsmart them. Nearly every week, someone writing for a major news outlet argues that economics has failed. Our models are too abstract. Our predictions are always wrong. President Trump's recent firing of Bureau of Labor Statistics Commissioner Erica McIntarfer is the latest notable example of this anti-economic sentiment. Let me make what appears to have become a radical argument. Simple economics is surprisingly good at making real-world predictions. When Mr. Trump imposed steel and aluminum tariffs in 2018, the University of Chicago surveyed dozens of top economists. These weren't partisan hacks. They included Nobel laureates and advisors to both parties. Not one of them thought that Americans would be better off because of the tariffs. 7 years later, what have we learned? Study after study, using customs data, retail prices, and scanner data from stores, has found that American businesses and consumers bore virtually 100% of the tariff burden. The economists were right. As consumers, Americans weren't better off. Americans were also hurt as workers. Economists have discovered that about half of U.S. imports are used as inputs in the production of other goods. Aluminum goes into beer cans. If the price of aluminum rises, beer companies will buy fewer cans. Fewer cans mean fewer workers. Researchers found that because of the 2018 tariffs, downstream American industries, the companies that use aluminum to make everything from beer cans to car parts, lost jobs, swamping any gains to aluminum producers. Tariffs intended to protect American workers destroyed more jobs than they created. Empirical studies confirm a basic idea from economics. If you tax something, the price rises and people use less of it. We don't need fancy statistics to see the predictive power of simple supply and demand. Take the recent controversy over egg prices. After egg prices roughly doubled at the start of this year, Senator Elizabeth Warren, D. Mass., urged the Justice Department to investigate price gouging. Alvaro Bedoya of the Federal Trade Commission called for a probe into anti-competitive conduct in the egg industry. Their theory mostly involved blaming Big Egg, but the boring story proved more accurate. The supply side collapsed when avian flu killed more than 100 million birds. When supply shrinks and consumers aren't very price sensitive, there aren't many other options for your morning omelet. The price will rise significantly. That's a textbook case of supply and demand. The power of economics comes from using supply and demand to predict what happens next. We know that a high price for eggs is an incentive to do two things. Prices falling in recent months. No model captures everything. Sometimes, supply and demand aren't the only factors at play. When Russia invaded Ukraine, a simple supply and demand model wasn't enough to predict what would happen. But even with something as uncertain as war, the basics went a long way. To predict what would happen, economist Rudiger Bachmann and colleagues constructed a model to map how gas flowed through Europe's economy. The model was intricate, but its foundations came straight from Economics 101. When prices rise, people and businesses economize. The feared catastrophe never materialized. European gas storage filled ahead of schedule, and the continent avoided the worst outcomes. Markets didn't erase the pain, but they softened it, as many economists had predicted. The simple economic idea in these examples is that prices change, and those changes in turn change people's behavior. Supply and demand give us the tools to understand those price changes. Understanding economics helps not only with prediction, but also with designing policies. When the late Nobel laureate Ronald Coase first proposed auctioning the electromagnetic spectrum to the highest bidder instead of giving it away, it reduces traffic and improves commute speeds, as economics predicts. Rather than abandoning economics because it's politically inconvenient, we should celebrate its remarkable ability to explain how the world works. There's always more to learn, but the basics aren't broken, they're underappreciated.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old...
Hey guys, before you go, do not forget to download the Rumble app. It's free, simple to use, and the best way to stay connected to our whole community. If you guys haven't already, make sure that you download the Rumble app and click on my show. AP for Liberty is the Wake Up America show. That way you'll get a notification every time we go live. No missed shows, no extra steps, no problems. If you like to watch us on the big screen TV, and we are streaming in beautiful, full, high definition, 1920 by 1080p, and you want to see me in all my glory, well, then you can also download the Rumble app on your smart televisions, your Xboxes. Go to your app store on your TVs and download the Rumble app and click set notifications to stun and join us on the Wake Up America show 5 days a week. Thank you so much to Rumble for making things like this possible. Thank you for helping us to grow the For Liberty Network. Rumble, Rumble, Rumble. Download the app, and we'll see you guys right back again here tomorrow.